Hey guys, I am Lana. This is From Corporate to Crystals, back for video number 12 in the series, Things I Wish Someone Would Have Told Me About the Twin Flame Journey. This video is going to be about synchronicities. I'm going to tell you some of the synchronicities that happened during my awakening or during my separation with my twin, and to show you guys how wild some of these synchronicities can be. If you are a true twin flame on a twin flame journey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you who are on the fence or just want to know about twin flame synchronicities, this is an example of how wild they can be. And then I just did a video, so it should be up, that is about synchronicities from before my awakening that started making sense once I awakened. So your entire life, you're a twin flame on a twin flame journey. The synchronicities are never ending. Sometimes they just reveal themselves to you years later. So that video might be of interest to you if you enjoy that. So let's get into it. Synchronicities that happen basically from the time I met my twin forward. And I'm only talking about my first connection with my twin. I know I've had a couple more connections after that, and I'm going to not include any of the synchronicities with those. To start, though, I do want to say, as someone who has had multiple connections, I have synchronicities. To this day, I have synchronicities for all three soul connections almost every day. So my first connection with my twin, I still see birth date, name. There's like, we have the same birthday number, and so I see that number a lot. And just like a couple other random things that like I know represent him. I might see like one or two a day. It's not tons. The other two connections, I have far more synchronicities around those two now. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about the first connection. All those synchronicities kind of seem to be chilling out a little bit. So let's recap some of them here. Okay, so I have a list over here I'm going to be reading off of. But to start, let's talk about right after my twin and I went into separation. And in human terms, that means he broke up with me, which is fine. I forgive him. But as that happened, I remember I've talked about this in other videos, but I was like heartbroken. The biggest heartbreak you'll ever feel ever. I lost 12 pounds in 2 weeks. I was like miserable, but I was at work and everybody knew I wasn't like doing very well. They didn't know why, probably. But as I'm like miserable at work, I remember one day we were like doing a craft project kind of thing. We did stuff like that, like vision board related stuff. And on my specific craft item, I remember it was like almost like manifesting stuff, like goals. I was just doodling. And I decided to doodle two flames right next to each other. And underneath it, I wrote, calling in my twin flame. I didn't even know what a twin flame was. So where did that come from? How did that come out of my mouth and then out of my hand into writing? Like, the whole thing is crazy. I even remember reading it and looking back at it in that moment and being like, what is a twin flame? And then I remember being like, oh, it's a soulmate, which everybody thinks that's what it is, right? So of course that would be my thought too, because that's what the collective consciousness thinks. So in that moment I was like, oh, okay, that aligns. I'm looking for my soulmate. Cool. Like, hopefully this heartbreak goes away so we can get there, right? I thought that was very, very weird though. For me to have drawn two flames next to each other, that's not really like a thing I doodle. I got specific doodles that I do. And I didn't even know what the words twin flame meant. And it just was like written out as like a goal. It's so weird. So that's one weird thing. Okay, so he breaks up with me and I'm like obviously wanting to like date or get over it. However, I need to get over it. And so I was like, I need to go on dates. Like, I just need to like get over this guy. And I remember I'm pretty selective about who I like actually go on physical dates with. I like to make sure that I actually like enjoy talking to them via text for a little bit first, not like pen pal style, but you get my point. Like, I'm very intellectual, so if I'm not intellectually stimulated by them, I'm gonna struggle a little bit. So I like to not just go straight to a date. The reason I say that is because I only went on a handful of dates in like probably the first year after, you know, my twin and I went into separation. And the reason is because, first of all, we were in a pandemic. Second of all, I was busy on a twin flame journey. So, of the people that I went on dates with, all but one have the same names of the connections that I have been in on this journey in the last 3 years. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Okay, yeah, there was another time where my twin and I, when we were still, I'm hopping around a little bit, but when we were still talking, actually we hadn't even gone on a date yet. So we had just been talking. Like we were busy, so we didn't like meet for 2 weeks, I think it was, or maybe longer. But I remember being like, why is this guy not asking me out? Like, I just was like getting kind of like weirded out, or like I felt like I was wasting my time, I think is what it was, where I was just like, is he gonna ask me out, or are we just gonna like be pen pals forever? And I hate that. So I remember I was at a concert with my friends, and I remember being pissed. I was like, this guy is great, but if he doesn't ask me out, I am going to cut him off. Like, I just don't want to waste my time. He obviously isn't serious enough to like want to meet in person, so that's fine, but I'm gonna go. And I remember I had that thought for the first time at a concert with my friends, and I remember telling myself internally, like, okay, I'm done. I'm not messaging him anymore. And then literally, as I put my phone away from having that, brainstorming session with myself and like creating a boundary for myself, I put my phone away, zip up my purse, feel it vibrate, and grab my purse, and it's a message from my twin, and it literally said, I can't wait to meet you. And I was like, oh, he's incredible. And then everything changed from there. It was like, you get it. So yeah, that one was pretty crazy. I was like ready to give up for sure. And the moment that it's like energetically, he could feel it. And so they sure solved that, didn't they? Okay, hike. This one was crazy, but I was on a hike with a friend, and her and I were walking down to the parking lot, and I love dogs. So as we were walking down there, I saw there was like a golden doodle puppy. And I was like, oh man, this puppy is so freaking cute. And I asked him, like, can I please pet your puppy? And they were like, yes, of course. So I'm sitting there petting the dog. My friend is talking to the owner about the dog. And we're all kind of chit-chatting. And I got this urge to ask what the puppy's name was. But it was weird because they were having a totally different conversation. So I didn't want to like interrupt to ask for the name. And so I was waiting for silence to happen so I could pop in. And I tried once, and then they talked over me. So I was like, all right, maybe it doesn't matter. And I just kept feeling like, ask the puppy's name. And I did. And then they literally were like, oh, the puppy's name is my twin's name. The puppy's name was my twin's name. And I literally said, of course it is. And then I like walked off, and my best friend was like, sorry about her. Cute puppy. And we just like moved on with our day. The next one is similar to that. So I was at the gym, and there was this adorable girl that I like love. So probably about 3 months of buildup on like her stories of like the guys that she's dating and her past ex who was like terrible, and that's why she's struggling like now. I had known all these stories, but I never heard anyone's name. And then she told me that she had a crush on a guy at the gym, and it happened to be a guy that I talked to regularly. And I didn't know his name. Him and I just always saw each other, said hi, lifted together. Like we had full-blown workouts together, and just like I must not have ever asked his name, and we would just like see each other all the time. So she tells me he's the one that she has a crush on, And when she said his name, and I was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And she points, and it's literally this guy I know. His name is my twin's name. And then she's like, and the weirdest part is my crush has that name, and that's the name of my ex, the really terrible one that like hurt me. And I was like, so she had my twin's name as her nasty ex and her crush, and she's telling me these stories. That one was a pretty crazy experience, but it was pretty cool. Okay, the next one. When we were in separation, my twin, I remember waking up to a text message on Lionsgate portal. So 8-8. I remember, in the spiritual community, everyone's like, Lionsgate portal, and I get it. But I remember being like, we'll see. Like, let's see what happens on Lionsgate portal, And I woke up on 8-8 to a text message that my twin had sent to me the night before. And it was a meme, essentially, like a video that he sent to me, and in the video meme, the meme video, it has my name, and it's talking about past lives. And I was like, he has no idea what he is saying to me in this meme. Like, he was just trying to be funny and like have a conversation, and I was like knees deep in a spiritual awakening, so confused, and just like every word he said was just like so crazy impactful or something. And then he sends me a meme about past lives with my name on it, and I was like, on Lionsgate portal. And then for the rest of the day, it was like synchronicities everywhere. It's like, he's a physical therapist, so it's like physical therapy, and like his birth date, his name, like you name it, everywhere that whole day, where it was like Synchronicity City. It was so crazy. So yeah, Lionsgate portal, that was like the moment that I knew. I was like, this is my twin. Like, that was my whoever, my spirit guides, my higher self. That was confirmation for me. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, this one is also pretty crazy. During separation, I was like, okay, I want to just like have fun, do fun stuff, and get back to like some roots. And softball happens to be like the sport that I played. And so as I was sitting there in separation, just trying to like be happy, I decided to like start going to the batting cages again. So I just went on OfferUp, and I was like, we'll just see what bats are out there that are like decent quality for like good prices. And sure enough, I found one. So I was like, cool, now I have like a batting cage bat. And so I set it up with the person, I pick it up, they hand me this bat bag. And it has, it had the bat hanging out the side, and I only needed the bat, but the lady's like, oh, it's my daughter's old bag, but she, has moved on to living her life, so I want to get rid of it. It's at the house. And I was like, all right, cool. But in the bag, it had a bunch of stuff. It had like a glove, it had a helmet, things like that, and balls. And so literally, I'm not going to show you the name for privacy reasons, I don't know, but on the other side where my fingers are, it has my twin's name written. Hey, what up, dog? That's Cedar. Off, please. Thank you. It has my twin's name written down the seams of the balls. The girl that I got this bag from, so I got it from the girl's mom, but the girl who used to use this bag has the same name as my twin. And I just randomly happened to buy that bag, that bat off OfferUp. Like, love it. I wasn't doing super well emotionally, so I was just like, the ocean, the beach, friends, like I could totally use some fun, right? And I remember waking up on like the Saturday morning, and we were about to have like a beach day for the whole day. And I just remember kind of waking up and being like, oh man, like I cannot believe my life. And like I'm here on this trip with awesome friends that are so fun, but it's like I can't even be present because I'm just so overwhelmed by my twin flame journey, And I remember asking my guides in that moment, I was like, I forget what it was, but it's like, confirm. I think I was in a doubt spiral or something. So I was like, confirm that this person is my twin. Send me 3 signs with babies involved in the sign. And I remember being like, what a weird thing to ask for. But I wanted it to be specific. And I remember in my head, I'm on like a vacation with friends who don't have kids. We're headed to the beach. Like, it just didn't feel like I was going to see many babies. So it felt like a safe sign. Like, it was going to be weird if I saw 3 baby signs, right? And I was like, let's see what the spirit guides do. As we're talking, they were talking about how their cat's name was Baby. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird, like unexpected. I didn't expect someone to name their cat Baby. That's kind of funny, but at the same time, my eyes perked up. And I was like, okay, maybe that's one. Let's just count that as a maybe. And as we're like walking down like past restaurants and stuff, there is a song, I think it's like Casey and JoJo or something, but it's like baby, 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 baby. Terrible voice, sorry. But that song, it's like all my life, you know what I'm saying. That song was playing on the patio of like this restaurant as we walked by. And it was specifically the part that said baby, 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 baby. And I was like, okay, that is weird. Like, we're officially counting this as at least 1 sign, if not 2. And then while we were on the beach, we were kind of like laying out, playing in the water and coming back kind of thing. And there was a family probably about, I don't know, 10 feet away from us in their own little like blanketed area. And the dad and child were in the water, and the mom and a baby were back on the blanket. And I didn't think anything of it because they were pretty far away and we were not paying attention. Well, all of a sudden, I'm just kind of like laying out in the sun, and this baby crawls over to my towel. And the mom follows and is like, oh, I'm so sorry about my baby. And I'm like, it's chill. Like, that's kind of normal, right? Like, babies crawl a lot. And so I was like, yeah, it's all good. Have a good day. This baby crawled back again to me, to my towel, and crawled like directly in front of me. And the mom was like, oh, my son must just really like you. And I was like, oh, how old is he? And like did small talk, because at this point it was like, I felt like we needed to have a conversation because the baby and like wanted to come say hi. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, are you making this up? Like, is this a baby sign? Like, are we at 3? Do we count it? Oh man, I like overthought that entire synchronicity, but it was absolutely 3 baby signs in a row. So yeah, that one was pretty crazy. And then I would say this last one, this one was just cool. I was out at a lake and probably struggling again at this lake alone, just trying to like be in calm and whatnot. And so I'm on a floating dock. And while I'm on this floating dock, I was alone. There was no one in sight. And all of a sudden this kayaker, who's like a father-daughter, they pull up to the dock, they dock their kayak, and then they sit on the dock, kind of catching their breath and drinking water and whatnot. And while they were there, we kind of started chit-chatting, and I had been sitting there for a bit, so I was like, hey, there's actually 2 hawks up here, which are pretty cool to watch, you know, like if you and your daughter want to check it out, like they're right there. And I'm like a weird bird person, so that seemed like the normal thing for me to say at that moment. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 ravens that pull up, and they're like literally flying with the hawks. And I was like, oh man, now there's 3 raven. And he goes, the father, he said, oh, I'm from Alaska, and there's a bunch of tales up in Alaska about how ravens and hawks are the yin and yang of the bird world. They're the feminine and masculine counterparts for one another in the bird world. And he just kept saying yin and yang, you know? And I'm sitting there, I was actually speechless. I had no words that I could say as he was telling me this. And he's sitting there telling me about, like, essentially Alaskan stories that have to do with ravens and hawks and the masculine, feminine polarity, yin and yang in the bird world. And I'm sitting here, like, thinking about my own masculine, feminine polarity and my whole journey, right? It was just the craziest, like, confirmation that came from someone else. It was a fully, like, prompted thing from someone else that just happened to hit right when I was just talking about birds, you know? Pretty crazy. I thought those were pretty cool. And I'm sure there's tons of others, but that is a good place to start. So I hope you guys liked these. I hope some of them reminds you of some of yours. I would love to hear yours. Like, share, subscribe, you know the drill, and I will see you guys on another video. Okay, bye-bye.